It all started with a dream. And then I woke up and I realized what I had chosen to do in this lifetime before I was born. This was the most empowering dream ever. I got to witness the choosing of my soul's intentions for this lifetime. And then I got to see it play out in the dream. And now it's coming true. This dream was life-changing. I could see the future in my dream. I could see the choices that we'd all be given, and some would lead to empowerment and others disempowerment. But in the end, we all win because the future is win-win, and anything less will become obsolete. The world is a stage, a playground for each of us to discover our purpose, our passions and intentions. And when you do, there is a homecoming like you cannot imagine. Fulfillment and worthiness and realization of your dreams. Love, joy, and abundance of everything you value. I have attracted an amazing team all around the world on this journey, and together we have discovered the path of least resistance and most allowance for everyone to find their way home, realize their potential, and the power to be their best. There is a tipping point coming where the majority of us will experience self-actualization and the flipping of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We have gotten into the flow and have meditated and daydreamed many inventions into existence. As of the making of this film, we have filed over 20 US provisional patents to pave the way to your door and then give you the key to unlock it. We all have infinite potential, but few have barely tapped the source. So we invented a game where you mine yourself by connecting and growing and blooming and harvesting and then cashing in your vibrational chips. And then we back you with the mother tree. All of this to optimize your value so you have the power to create what you came here to do. When you hear the treasure chest that we have in store for you, you'll either want to join us or stop us. But one thing you won't be able to do is ignore us. This dream started the day I met Steve Jobs. The first time I met Steve Jobs and saw the world through his eyes was October of 1983. My boyfriend, who worked for Apple Computer, had invited me to the Apple sales conference in Hawaii. I was only 19 at the time, and I saw Steve introduce this top secret Macintosh internally to the sales team. And then he shared the 1984 commercial that would be used to share it with the world. What happened to me that day changed my life and the world. A seed was planted in me and infused with the greatest passion and inspiration I had ever experienced, and it is still alive in me today. I wanted to work for Steve and Apple Computer and help him realize his dream to empower people to be their best. His dream had become mine. And so I came home and I immediately changed my degree. I wanted to study electrical engineering so I could join the mothership someday. Well, 6 years later, I did. I received my bachelor's degree in computer science and electrical engineering from the University of California, Berkeley. And then I got hired by Apple Computer. It was my dream job. That was the year 1989. They gave me the job that nobody else wanted, which was to put Ethernet on twisted pair phone lines. You see, all the other guys in my group wanted to work on high-speed things and sexy things. Phone lines, that seemed antiquated and like going backwards. So I got to work on it. And Apple paid me to fly around the world and represent them at the IEEE meetings. And by 1991, I had designed the first twisted pair Ethernet solution for Apple Computer. And the very next year was the first time ever Ethernet went on the motherboards of the Apple Macintosh and all of the printers. Steve could see the future, and now I understand how hard it was for him to explain the power of the personal computer and all that it would usher in. It sparked something in me and a calling. Roger that. And when I figured out what that meant, I started receiving clarity and intuition and daydreams and night dreams on what this would look like and how to best bring it out. The dream I had was just the validation to show me that it was real and it's coming true. And now I would like to share it with you. We figured out how to measure flow when a person is in the zone and empowered to be their best. Flow is a state of resonance and clarity and perfection, productivity, efficiency, and creativity. Flow is where athletes break records and win matches, and musicians write their hit songs or classics. When you listen to them and you get into that flow state, it makes the hairs on your skin stand on end. Flow is where inventors and scientists get their breakthroughs. Your body automatically heals. Creativity and productivity and efficiency are at their peak. When you are in flow, you are empowered to be your best. Your true self is aligned with your soul, and your talents just bloom. You have clarity, passion, purpose, appreciation. Problems evaporate, win-win solutions materialize. You are your best self and the worthiest and the most valuable to everyone else around you. So why not bottle this up and tokenize it and then store it as your intrinsic or inner value? A share of you, literally created by you and backed by you. Have you ever valued someone so much that you'd like to invest in them and hold them? Well, now you can. We created a way for you to get into flow, give you feedback so you know when you're there, stay there longer, create value, and then store that in a digital token like stock in yourself, a share that only you can create. We give you the power to mine yourself and then share it and exchange it or sell it on the marketplace. This is the iTunes of iValues. You can create and buy stock in a person, but more importantly, you can realize your value. Most people get into flow accidentally or briefly, and they don't know how to get back or make it last long enough, or the value comes out. But anyone who's at the top of their game has figured this out. Now we give you the ability to do this too. We show you how to get into flow and make it last, grow your value, and share it with others. The tokens are created automatically. And when you figure out how to master flow, you will become a much more valuable person and a lot happier too. Your productivity and fulfillment and efficiency and creativity, they go through the roof. And so you become much more valuable to your employer as well. Here's why investors are going to love it. They spend so much time with their due diligence and analyzing all the data they have on their opportunities and trying to calculate the risk and their odds to pick the best investments and the unicorns. Well, now if you have a flow sensor and you see who's in the flow, well, they are the ones with the winning ideas. And not only that, those solutions they come up with are usually win-win. And so they're going to change the game. Because when you're in flow, it's a state of resonance with everything. And so that's why your ideas and solutions end up being the winners. We created a win-win engine and we hooked it up to the blockchain. The blockchain is the biggest game changer in my lifetime, and probably yours too, even if you haven't seen it or felt it or even know what it means. Now, this is not Bitcoin, but we do use some of the same empowering principles behind it. There are over 3,000 cryptocurrencies flowing around the world, quietly disrupting the power structures that have been in place for centuries. Before blockchain, we had to rely on third parties, like banks and governments, to transfer things of value, like money or stock or real estate. But with blockchain, we can now transfer those things or anything directly between two parties, even remotely around the world, without relying on a third party to be the intermediary. Well, it's the anything part that really got me interested, because most things are based on scarcity or lack, like gold and diamonds or even money. And money's not even a thing, really, and it's not even backed by anything anymore. So what's going on here? You got money and we all need it, and yet if you print more of it, it's worth less. And similarly with stock in a company, if you just print more without creating more value, it gets diluted and it becomes worth less. Well, what if there was something that was not debt-backed, like money, and could be more like love, more win-win, where if you print more love, well, the better you feel, and so does someone else. And if you have more joy and a fulfillment and happiness, well, the more the merrier. You see, there are some things that are worth more than money, and if you make more of them or have more of them, they're worth more. Well, that's very interesting. So we decided to capitalize on your inner value at your highest, most valuable state. And then a share of you is created when our flow sensors measure and validate this highly valuable state, which is a winning mindset, but also has win-win value for others too. So now we can create a share of ourself that is backed by ourselves when we are at our most valuable flow state. And the blockchain allows us to safely create and store and transfer these between anyone we want without any intermediaries. Now that is highly valuable and very empowering. So we asked ourselves, how could we make you worth more? Well, you see, we figured out a way to align your interests with the makers of all products, services, and content. Because when you flow with anything else, whether it's some sports equipment or let's say some content you're watching or someone you're with, when you flow with anything else, we will correlate all of that together and reward them too. Not just once, but every time you flow together. Let me give you an example. Let's take one of my favorite athletes in the world, Roger Federer. Now, Wilson pays him a lot to play with their rackets. Well, what if when Roger flows with the Wilson racket, they get rewarded too for being a part of his flow? Or you're listening to your favorite song or teacher and you're being inspired. It doesn't even matter if it's on YouTube or copied or pirated. It doesn't matter. The creator of that content will be rewarded too when you flow together. This is extremely valuable for not only you, but everyone else and all the makers of products, because this will automatically reward those things that serve us better and help us be our best. And if you're willing to let those manufacturers get in on the data of how you're doing, well, then even better for both of you. But now you have a reason to want to share your results with them. And they will use this in a much more valuable way to make their products and services even better. This also changes the economics of things. Instead of selling them to you once, in the future, they might just give them away because there's an ongoing financial revenue stream when you flow together. You could use this to inspire your fans or anyone, your listeners. I mean, let's say you're a great football player, like Megan Rapinoe and the American women's soccer team, now they could tell their fans, hey, we're going to change the game. We don't need equal pay. We don't care about that money anyway. That's not worth very much. We're now going to pay ourselves more, because when we flow, we're going to create tokens of ourselves. And if you value that, well, you could buy them and you could hold them and you could sell them. And in fact, we might even inspire you to get into your own flow by offering to share a token of ourselves with you if you flow with us. So this is a far more impactful way for anyone to create value, share it with others, and inspire them to create their own value too. The future is very bright. It's win-win, and we're all in this together. Just one more thing. There's two sides to every coin. So how do I make your coin or your token or share worth the most? And how do I keep some copycat from getting funded to duplicate this, or some giant out there from taking this idea and running with it? Well, what I decided to do was take all of my shares and the intellectual property created in this company and put it into a foundation called the Mother Tree Foundation. Because Mother Trees naturally share her resources, because she knows that we're all better off when we're all better off. And so when you figure out how to master this game of creating value and the power to be your best, you will have a harvest and be able to go public. And when you do, you will be backed by the Mother Tree Foundation. And she owns most of the value in the company itself. So you will essentially have ownership interest in the company with voting rights and financial returns. This will be a future creation of how companies will provide the most value to its customers, is by sharing their value with them. This is also how I inspire others to share their value with more people, because the most valuable person is the one who figures out how to inspire the most value in others. And in doing this, my own token will naturally be worth more. So you see, it's win-win. We're all in this together, and when the tide rises, all the boats float. One of my favorite examples of this would be someone like Roger Federer, who has tremendous value. He's the highest earning athlete in the world. And what he values and cares about the most are the children in Africa. He wants to inspire them to realize their potential and their value. Well, now he can do this in a far more impactful way using tokens of himself. And when his value goes up, he pulls them all up with him. So join me in our game. It's called Token of Me. And in the future, instead of TED Talks, we're going to have Tom Talks, where people are worth tokenizing. And when you do go public, you will tell your story of what your dreams are so we can help you realize them and invest in you. Thank you very much. Oh, just one more thing. If today were the last day of your life, would you do what you're about to do? Just before Steve Jobs passed, he said that remembering you're going to die is the best way to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You're already naked, so why not follow your dreams? And with this, I share with you my favorite t-shirt, 30 years old, from Apple Computer. This is the t-shirt I wore when I first discovered the power to be my best and designed this Ethernet card back in 1991 and put the technology onto the motherboards. So you see, I'm just carrying Steve's dream forward to empower you to be your best. Please join me and empower yourself with a token of me.